Welcome everyone to episode 4 of ChessWhiz Arcade. Today is May 28th, 2015, and we're working on the game Uprising. This is season 1 of ChessWhiz Arcade. We're working on the game Uprising. Did I mention that part? It's actually playable now. As we finished in episode 3, we finished the playability of the game. You can now play, move your pieces around, and lose and get a high score. But the game is much too difficult. So one of the things we're going to do is tweak the difficulty. We're also going to do a few other small modifications just to make the game flow a little bit better. When you lose, there's nothing you can do except refresh the browser or go take a walk. So we'll add something else maybe for the user to be able to do, like maybe play again. That'd be an idea. Might be able to add that. So we'll do a couple of those things. Let's jump over to the ChessWhiz desktop view. Bam. So the current game can be played at chesswiz.tv. If you browse there and click arcade, then you can see arcade games, Uprising, play now. So this is the game as we have it so far. The knight moves around like this, follows your mouse cursor, and when you capture things, you gain abilities, blah, blah, blah. So you don't gain abilities. You just avoid losing because one of these pieces becomes a king, then you just lose instantly. So I'm going to play this game really fast and just show you how amazing I am at it. I shared this game with a few friends since the last episode, and I learned that it's much too difficult. And I also learned that it's that it's too choppy. As you can see, my computer hibernated earlier today, which is why it's choppy. It doesn't like to hibernate. So you can see the game running too slow. And that's one of the things we need to fix today is when the game runs slowly, it actually runs slower. So it becomes easier. You want to play this game on a slow computer so that your computer slows the game down for you. So we're going to fix that so that it actually runs the same speed even on slow computers, because otherwise you can get a better high score on slow computers. So I've almost lost here because one of these things is about to become a king. Whoa, there's the queen. See how slow it is because everything's on the screen animating. So one of the ways to speed it up is to drop the drop shadow. Wow, ChessWhiz is really amazing at this. If you think I'm doing amazingly, it's because the game is actually slowing down and getting easier and easier over time. But I am relatively good. You can see that knight is really hopping. Whoops, let's pick that one up. Not perfect, though. You can see me making some bad moves here. Yeah, it's really choppy now. It's easy to plan ahead. In fact, it's running slower as the game gets longer. I think that's because it's redrawing all the pieces with the drop shadow behind the pieces, and it's a little bit slow for the canvas to draw that drop shadow. I think I'm going to lose here. Get that queen, and I'm going to lose on this queen. Oh, because I'm so bad. There we go. 8,000 points. That is way higher than my personal best ever. And the reason for that on this current version of the game is because the game was slowing down. So that's one of the things we need to fix. Let's start programming. Visual Studio, ChessWhiz.sln. It's a good name for it. I should probably move it to its own solution, Uprising, but it's going to be ChessWhiz for now. So that is the game. And obviously it needs help because it runs slower on slow computers such as my own. So that's one thing we need to fix. Let's start with that, and then we'll do some things from there. So let's go to our task list here. Trello is tracking our tasks. Very useful task list tracker. You can use this to say, what have I packed yet? Have I packed my toothbrush? What about my floss? Okay, it's all packed. So fixed timer to use milliseconds instead of frames and slice in case of slow computers is currently in progress. Here are some of the other things we want to do this episode. Change the difficulty because it's way too hard. Add play again so it doesn't just sit there, and add a get ready state so it doesn't just start as soon as you load the page. That's what we definitely want to do. We might also do some on-screen score stuff or maybe some of this other to do, but we don't have time for a lot of it. This goes over here though. Game engine in C# is definitely network play mode. So let's get started with the timer. So we'll jump over to the timer.js. Timer.js. Timer. Oh, it's called Clock Manager. There it is, the Clock Manager, and we see what we've got. So this is the loop, the game loop that's running. It runs loop, which runs all the logic, and then it runs draw, and then it increases the tick by 1. This is how many frames have gone past, and then it waits for the next animation frame, which is a way of the browser saying, I'm not going to animate the screen until you wait for me. So this call makes it wait till it's the next time to animate. So this works great on a fast computer. This runs 60 times a second because this call, which is up here, runs 60 times a second. 1,000 milliseconds divided by 60 is 60 times per second. The problem is on slow computers, it actually skips frames. It'll finish the loop, it'll increase the tick, and it'll say, oh, well, it's been 100 milliseconds, so I need to wait 20 more. But it actually skipped the frame, and that means you actually skipped one of these ticks, so the frame went by half as quickly as it should have. So it skips the frames, and that slows down the entire game. What I want to do instead, I'll just make myself big for this. What I want to do instead is say, oh, you're so slow, it's been 100 milliseconds. Well, I'm going to do 2 game frames in a row behind the scenes, and then draw. So if you miss out on 5 frames, let's say 300 milliseconds go by, so that's 5 frames-ish. No, it's not. Anyway, 5 frames go by, 60 frames a second. I'm not going to do the math. Anyway, some time has gone by. My math is wrong because 60 milliseconds does not equal 1 frame in order to get 60 frames per second. I want to run the logic several times and then draw once, as opposed to trying to draw every time. So it holds back the drawing frame because that's the slow part, and it catches up by the logic. So it'll say, okay, I'm doing all these frames and I'm not showing what you are, and then it draws. It says, okay, I've caught up. I'm going to draw. So let's see if we can do that. So right now there's one call, world.loop, and world.loop goes and calls draw itself. As you can see, here's the world.loop call. Let's put world on the other side of my screen. Now it's over there. And my computer's nice and slow, so this will be a good way to test what I'm trying to test here. And at the very bottom, it calls that dot pane, which is draw. And this is also some drawing, actually. This loop contains draw as well, so let's pull that out as well. Text manager. See, text manager does its own drawing. That's going to be a problem because that doesn't separate loop and draw properly. So we're going to have the draw, go back to the world. Let's close all but this. It's going to say, do you want to save text manager? Yes, I do. My computer's really slow. It's kind of funny to me. Okay, so when this paints, it's then going to call text manager.paint. So it's going to paint the board, and then it's going to paint the text. That kind of pulls this part, drawing out of that part. Now here is the paint. Don't need the if statement because the main context will always exist. And I'm going to paint separately. So I'm going to actually call world.paint here. Okay, so this should work exactly the same as it did. Let's refresh the page and see if it does. It should still draw and paint and all that stuff. It does work. And you can see it's fast now. You can see just how much faster the game is. So we know there's a problem. And it's actually the drop shadow behind the pieces because canvases are really slow. So we'll take that out. But before that, let's fix this game for slow computers so that it doesn't slow down and make the game easy. Happy-O is watching for the first time. Cool, Happy-O. You can see the previous episodes on YouTube. And if you're wondering how we got this far, it took like 7 hours to get the game this far, which is pretty long, but also kind of short. And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, I would highly recommend clicking the gear in the lower right and saying, oh, playback speed 1.25 times, or even 1.5 if you have quick ears, because then you don't have to be bored by slow programming. It's actually sped up, which is kind of nice. But if you're watching live, you can ask questions, so there's a trade-off for sure. So if you talk to me in the chat, I will respond. And I'll say, hello, Happy-O, thanks for watching. So we are now calling loop separately from draw. We are calling loop, and then we're calling draw. So now we need to say loop always and draw if you've caught up. So I need to track the milliseconds, the starting milliseconds. This is the millisecond at which the game is beginning, okay? So when you call start, tick is set to 0. That's the first frame. This dot start ms is equal to, and this is the milliseconds since the epoch in JavaScript. Is that how it's pronounced? Let's find out, because that's such a weird word. Pronounce epoch. It's going to do this. Come on, YouTube. You can do it.
Epoch.
Epoch. Okay, great. So it's since the epoch. And the way to do that is to call getTime. I hate asking W3 schools how to do this, but this is how. var date equals new date, var n equals d.getTime. So the start milliseconds is going to be getTime. So this is going to be a zillion milliseconds since January 1st, 1970, and that's being stored in the start milliseconds of the game. Okay? So now we know when the game started. Let's move this down here. Okay. Now we need to track inside the loop. I want a new up-to-date. I don't know if making new dates all the time is going to be slow for the computer, and I want it to be quick. So I'm going to actually go. This thing is going to have its own date object, so I don't have to keep making dates, because it's really stupid how you have to make a date just to get the current time. So let's see if there's another way to do this. Let's just ask Stack Overflow. I like asking Stack Overflow way better. Well, it looks like I could do it all in one line. So I think instead of carrying this date around, which is kind of stupid, I'll just go new date dot get time. Now this may not work, so let's try it out and see. Go back to the game. We'll have to run the local version of this. In fact, I was playing the version on ChessWhiz TV, so that's the wrong version. So let's go to localhost now. See if the game's the program. So I just tested the thing. I was like, "Yep, it still works." Well, we don't know if it still works because I was playing the online version. I'd rather play the version that's on my computer. So is this the correct port for localhost? Because it's not loading good. Let's find out. There we go. Arcade and play now. Okay, it works. It's kind of sloppy, but let's choppy. Did I say sloppy? Definitely meant choppy. Let's pull up the developer tools. My computer's really slow right now, so this is a great test. Let's go to scripts, arcade, common, clock manager, and just see exactly what this date is. Start milliseconds. So we're going to refresh the page, hit this breakpoint, and step once. See what the start milliseconds are. They are a zillion milliseconds. This is how many milliseconds have elapsed since January 1st, 1970. Is it a billion? 1.4 billion maybe? I can't even figure out where the integer divider symbol goes. Here in the United States, it's a comma, but where you are, it might be some other symbol like a period or even a space bar. Or I don't know, maybe use a left angle bracket to separate your triplets of digits. I don't know, but that's a lot of milliseconds. But it's working, so great. Now we need to think through how to use that. The way we use that is, okay, so we enter the loop. First we wind the loop, then the current number of milliseconds is this. Again, we should probably do this at the end. Let's think it through the very first frame. So there's a difference between the do while and the while loop. One runs first, and one checks the truthness of the test first. Super B Oob, Super Boo Eb got 1330 as his high score. That's nice. We're going to tweak the difficulty because it's a super hard game. You lose in like 30 seconds or less in this game. New date.getTime. So this is the current milliseconds. Elapsed milliseconds is getTime minus. Oh, we need to store the last. Maybe we don't need to store the start one. We just need to store the last one. Let's store the start one also and not use it, because that's pretty fair. So when we enter the loop, the last time we checked the milliseconds equals. Let's do it. Well, I'll try it this way, and then we'll see how it goes. Start MS. So we're just managing the milliseconds. Not a really fun part of the programming, but. So we're setting this to 1 billion, and then we're setting that to the same number. Watch what I do. Just watch. This will be so good. Enter the loop. This dot last ms. So I say, oh, what time is it right now? And what time was it last time I was here? Oh, some time has passed. How many passed? This much. If it's going to be 60 frames per second. Okay, this .fps is 60. So now we know how many frames per second we want. This number, which I guess I should ask my calculator, how much milliseconds? 16 ms per frame is that. Wow, 16.7. So that's how many milliseconds are going to elapse per frame. So if elapsed, so this is actually a while loop. While it's a local variable. So let's put bar in front of it. Oh, some time has passed. While that time is greater than 0, then decrease it by milliseconds per frame. ChessWhiz, what are you developing? It's a chess-themed arcade game. I don't know if this is going to work. It might become really choppy. And then call loop. And increase tick by 1. So let's say that 50 milliseconds have passed. And since I was last here, oh, I need to run a frame every 16. So I run my first frame, and then I do the process, and then I increase by frame, it's by 1. Oh, now it's not 50, it's 50 minus 16, which is 34 milliseconds have passed. So I do it again, subtract another 16, run another logic cycle, and then I do it again, and then it's no longer more than 0, so I stop. And I draw, and then I grab the next frame. It might work. So I'm imagining what happens if it comes in and it's like 17 exactly. So it's going to do 2 frames of logic, and then it's going to paint. So it's going to delay the painting. This might actually make it take too long, but let's see how it works. It never draws. I expected something bad like that to happen. It never, ever updates. In fact, it might be stuck in an infinite loop. We should probably check for that. Are you in this loop program? Are you in this loop? What's elapsed ms? Not a number. What's new date.getTime? What's last ms? Undefined. What's start ms? Undefined. This problem is bigger than I expected. Let's refresh the page. Okay, this dot start ms is huge. This dot last ms is huge. Oh, I see the problem. Guys, it's a closure issue in JavaScript. This function is inside the other function, so this becomes that. And I actually want to change this everywhere because that is so confusing. I'm going to change that into self. I'm going to replace everything everywhere. No files were found to look in. Well, look in more files. Replace in files. Find that. Replace it with self. Look in current project. Wow, Super Boo Web got 1630. He's pretty good. The slower your computer, the better you will score until I fix this. My computer is really slow, so it's replacing that with self slowly right now. I hope it doesn't make any changes in my jQuery files. Stop it. This could be problematic. It's changing my libraries, which I don't want to change. No, don't change that, or that file, or that file, or that file, or that file. I guess I should have been more specific. Or that file. These are all libraries that aren't even mine, so I don't really want to be changing them. Like jQuery.validate.min.js, unobtrusive. I just got a little too obtrusive with that thing. I only wanted to change my own files. Okay, Control F4, we'll close this. I'll be quicker now. Control F4. Control F4, don't save. Wow, so I'm spending my time not saving my changes. It's a little bit, I don't need to do that in Bootstrap. There we go. I do want to save enemy, that was mine. And I do want to save keyboard manager. I do want to save board. And I do want to save asset manager. Assembly info, no, that's not my thing. Site.css, I don't even know what you are, what change you had, so no. Bootstrap, no. Exception has been accounted. I don't have time to read exceptions. Clock manager, yes. Okay, so now it's self equals this. That's a little less confusing. It took way too long to do that. So the problem is I need to access self.lastms in order to access it properly. Self, I think that's the only instance, so let's try now. The whole thing's gonna break, watch. That's obnoxious. So there's actually an error. ms per frame is not defined. So this should be self.ms per frame. Let's try again. And bam! It's super fast, guys. Look at this game. The difficulty has gone significantly up. Significantly up. So let's put a breakpoint in here and see exactly what it's doing. So it hits this thing and it says I've elapsed how much time? 1951 milliseconds. So it's going to do like 1,000 frames or 100 frames all at once before it draws. Now, how much time has elapsed? Is there a problem with my logic? 21,000 milliseconds, and it's going to draw the whole game. It's going to run the whole game and then draw once. So there's a problem. Milliseconds per frame, 16 is just not enough. There's a problem. I think there's a problem by 1,000. I think it's running 1,000 times too quickly. Well, let's pretend we're 30 frames per second. Let's see how that works. Still really fast, but you can actually see it a little slower. Let's pretend we're 1 frame per second. I'm not sure. This is called programming by stabbing things. Okay, so at 1 frame per second, it's still running too fast, but you can see it's actually kind of working now. So why does milliseconds per frame need to be that much? Let me look up this function. I feel a little suspicious about it. It automatically initializes the current time. It is the number of milliseconds. So there's no reason that this number would be in the thousands. Oh, I'm not assigning this. Okay, so I found the problem, guys. The first frame, I say, okay, it's been in that 1 frame length, so I run the first frame. The second frame, I'm not updating when the last frame was, so it says, well, I guess I need to do 2 cycles. The next frame, it says, well, I guess I need to do 3 cycles, so it cycles 3 times. So it's a triangle effect. It's a cascading effect where it gets bigger and bigger and worse and worse. The last thing I need to do here is up just before I paint. I think it's just after I paint. No, it's before. It's right here. It's right after. After I calculate the elapsed seconds, I need to say that the last ms equals elapsed. Now is this. There's the elapsed time. Now it moves it up. Does that make sense? So I say, oh, 1 second has passed and I'm moving this thing up. 1 second has passed and I'm moving this thing up. Instead of saying, oh, 3 seconds, oh, 5 seconds. It's going back to the very beginning of time every time. So of course it cascades worse and worse. So now we're going to get 1 frame every 1,000 seconds. And we're not. I was completely wrong. Why didn't... That assessment was completely wrong. That was not the bug, I think. Now minus... This is obnoxious because it should be a quick thing and then I'm done. And instead, If I put this on 5,000, it's going to run great. It's like, oh, 5,000 seconds per frame. Now we're talking. Or milliseconds. What about 50,000? What about 50,000 seconds per frame? Oh, it's a little slower. No, it's the same speed, isn't it? Well, that's a clue. What about 500,000 milliseconds per frame? This should be interesting. See, 500,000. And how quick is it? It's the same speed. So I think it's ignoring that value. ms per frame. Click on that. Oh, it's just doing it once. As you can see here. $500,000, but then it goes negative. My algorithm is wrong. Should have thought this through before I started streaming so that I could just be like, Shazam! I just did this complicated thing so easily on my first try. Elapsed MS is not what needs to bump up. It actually needs to be, this way. Watch this. While self.last ms is less than now. Self.last ms plus equals ms self ms per frame. So I'll try to explain what I'm doing here instead of always doing at least one. I don't need elapsed ms anymore, and we better just do 1,000 divided by 30, which is 30 frames per second. We'll see if that runs too slowly. So now I'm saying, what is it now? And don't do that until we're done here. Nope, we never have to update this because it's updated inside the loop. What is it now? Okay, it's this time. It's 50 milliseconds later. Oh, is it later than the last time? Yes, it is. It always is. Yes, it always is. That's the beauty of it. So then it increases by 30, and it says, okay, I ran a frame. Now is it? So it'll run several cycles until it catches up. So it'll say, here's where I am now. I need to catch up the game to that point. Oh, I'm here now. Catch up the game to that point. It's, each time it adds, it increases by 1 frame and does 1 frame. This is the way it should be. So that way, if it's working fast, it'll always just catch up in 1 frame. It'll do 1 frame per frame. Look at that, beautiful. And the reason it's slow is because I'm doing 30 frames per second. So now this is actually, if I do 15 frames per second, it's going to run at half the speed. See that? But the interesting thing is it's half the draws per second, but it's the same game speed per second. Watch this with 1. Watch this with 1 frame per second. Okay, the game is still, no, it's not. The game is still not keeping up. It is running 1 frame per second, that's for sure. Oh, this is what it should do. Yeah. I want the game to run 60 frames per second, which is too fast, I think. Well, 30 should be okay. The problem is, I think that request animation frame defaults to 60. So let's look that up, because some browsers are going to just use this. That's too complicated for me to read. What is the request animation frame default FPS? Looks like it says, why is 60 frames per second the default and why can't it be changed? So let's search this document for 60. Hertz is universal. Okay, so it's 60. So we're going to live with 60. So So that's the milliseconds per frame. So that makes the game really fast. Really fast. Choom, 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 choom. But that's okay. Let's see how the game looks in full screen mode. Did you see that? What happens if the computer is slow? So now we're going to run an interesting simulation, guys. This is where it gets interesting. I'm going to add some code that says, my computer is slow. Can I keep up? And I think I'm going to see the game logic run at the same speed. Like the knight is going to have the ability to keep up at the same speed, but it's going to drop frames. The knight is going to appear that it's jumping, but it's not going to be an unfair situation for the person with the slow computer because the knight doesn't move any quicker. The pieces don't grow any quicker, that kind of thing. So let's see if that works. We're going to, when we're painting, is there like a delay? Sleep. Is there a sleep in JavaScript? I think there is. Stack Overflow can tell me. Let's look at the answers. Set timeout. I want to use set timeout. See, I don't want a separate function. I just want sleep. I have to use Rhino, then I can do it. Wow, great. There's a delay function. There really is no JavaScript sleep. PHP has a sleep function, but JavaScript doesn't. Well, this is because it's useless, you might say, and you'd be right. Oh, what do you know? JavaScript is useless. So here is a function that sleeps I'm stealing this code. By doing nothing forever until the appropriate amount of time has passed. So we're not going to need this, right? But if you sleep for this many milliseconds, it's going to say, until I have reached that many milliseconds, I am going to loop. And this is a number that's enormous. So it's looping and doing nothing except checking if it's done looping. So now I will use that, sleep. Sleep, see if I can type sleep. And now I want to do a random amount of sleeping between, say, 20 and 80 milliseconds. So it will drop some frames. So math.random, does that exist? Times 80, times 100. So it'll sleep 0 to 100 milliseconds. Let's try it. Not that one. Let's try the game. See that? Look at that. It's working in a sense that the game is running the same difficulty as if it weren't sleeping. You can see some frames being dropped at random times. I think it's dropping a few too many frames, so let's make it like that instead. So it's dropping some frames and it's dropping random amounts of them, and yet the game is exactly as difficult as if it weren't dropping any. That is to say, well, the knight doesn't animate very smoothly, but the knight, even though you don't see it in the interpositions, it's still moving through them behind the scenes because the logic is running. So that I call that a success. That was a very important feature. Fixed timer to use milliseconds instead of frames in case of slow computers. That, guys, was a very important feature for eventually we're going to have head-to-head play over the internet, of course. And when we have that, both sides computers need to run at the same speed because you have a slow computer. You can't have your game state falling behind the other person's. So this way we know that at frame 100, you will have moved exactly 1,660 milliseconds forward in the universe for both computers. Maybe that's not quite the right number, but you get the idea. So that's now done. And I don't want to randomly sleep. So now let's try it without that. Just see if it's working properly. Okay, it's pretty smooth. I can move my knight around. Yeah, got you. And it's pretty smooth animation. Okay, so that's done. Let's check that in to my source control. You're doing great, according to Xerox Knight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying I'm doing great. I don't have not authorized to access this. Yes, I am. Look at all those changed files. I don't want to change these. And I don't want to change that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that. This is because I renamed that into self. I don't want to change any of those. And I'd like to know what my changes are in index, so let's compare that with the latest version. Why can't I? Why can't I access my source control? I want to... Will you please give me a login prompt at least? So that I can connect to ChessWhiz. There we go. What's my email? What's my email without anybody looking? It's probably the same email, but it's better when no one looks. Signing in without you looking. And connecting. And let's take a look. Now, I can compare that with the latest version. And lo and behold, my slow computer pulls up a diff. And it says the difference is... It says there's no differences. That's dubious. Let's check my web configs. This is an ASP.NET MVC project, which is a fancy way to say it has web configs, which apparently have no diffs in them. So let's undo those changes as well so that my check-in doesn't say I touched a bunch of files I didn't. Fixed. You know what? Why do I need to type a comment when I could just edit this thing and say, I did this. I fixed time renamed, and I renamed that to self. And I should put that also in the comment because I touched a bunch of files I didn't mean to touch. Why does it say world has been affected? Oh, yeah, self. Okay. Because you're going to say, why did this check-in modify board.js? It's because I'm using self instead of that. So done. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go on to the next task. The next task is tweak game difficulty. That's an easy and fun one. So right now the game is perfectly tuned for ChessWhiz, which is way too hard for almost everyone. So we will simply tweak a few things to make that easier. First of all, we have a file here called globals that has all the difficulty in it. It says captures per level, which how many times you capture a piece before you get to the next level. You're going to start with 3 instead of 1. So let's go play that and see if it's improved. See if I broke anything. So you capture one thing, and then you capture one thing, and then you capture one thing, and then you get to level 2. And now you have to capture 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you get level up. So I think that's more appropriate. We'll get some feedback to see if that's a good increasing. And then captures increase per level, which is 1, which means 3 on the first, 4 on the next, 5 on the next, 6 on the next. It's increasing by 1 each time. We could make that 2, which means capture 3 on the first, 5 on the next, 7 on the next. And that would slow down the game significantly. But I think that I'm pretty happy with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Otherwise, that spikes up really fast and far. Enemy promotion ticks. That is how many frames before the enemy upgrades his type. So from a pawn to a bishop. And right now, it's 120, which is in 120 frames, it'll upgrade. Now, 120 frames at 60 frames a second. That's 2 seconds, and that's really fast for growth. So I'm going to try 3 seconds, which is 180 frames. And that's going to slow down the enemy growth significantly. As you can see, it's a bishop, waiting, rook. Capture 3 things. So I'll just try the game once at this difficulty. We'll see how it goes. And then we're going to say, great, I love this difficulty. ChessWhiz is not using a computer that's cheating because it's no longer slowing down. I think I'm happy with the scoring function, which is 100 points for a pawn, 90 for a bishop, 70 and 50 for a rook and queen, and 1,000,000 for a king because you can't capture a king. So this game's much harder without the slowness. Oh, there's something else I should change, and it's really important. So are we happy with this difficulty? The pieces are growing much slower, which means ChessWhiz can play forever. So let's see how hard it gets when you get to the end. Capture the rooks. Capture the rooks before they become queens. Yeah, ChessWhiz can play forever. That's a feature of ChessWhiz. Capture that queen. Ah, and that queen, and that queen. Ooh, that was close. And this queen. No, no, and that one up there. Ooh, and that one, and that one, and that one. Ah, oh, this is fun. This is actually better for ChessWhiz 2, as opposed to, no, go get that queen down there. No, gonna lose. Ah, 6,000. So that was actually much, much more enjoyable for me because I didn't just lose that fast. And for the rest of you guys, you can actually play this game as well. So I think this is a better difficulty. And we'll see if that's true. I'm going to take the drop shadows off the pieces because I think that'll improve the frame rate quite a bit. That's in my draw function, my paint. I have something here that says, oh, it's in piece.paint. Piece. Oh, it's not in piece.paint. Must be in world.paint. I have to find the paint thing, that's it. So shadow color, shadow offset, shadow blur. So let's just set, how do you turn off shadow? I think setting shadow blur to 0 will do it. But I want to be sure that it's not actually doing some processing behind the scenes. Shadow blur undefined. Oh, save and restore. Actually, I should do that. And then I don't need to do all this stuff. So I'm adding the shadow when I do the text manager. When I do the text has shadows, and I'm okay with that. So what I need to do is call save and then restore. And that will save the state of no shadows. And then we'll add the shadows and draw the text, and then it will restore. So let's save at the beginning of the loop. Let's save at the very start before I even loop through stuff, and let's restore at the very end. So that's doing the least saving and restoring possible. That's going to take the shadows off everywhere, which I think will make the game run a lot smoother because those shadows really slow the game down. And let's see if that's true. Yeah, look at that. So smooth, so smooth. So it's nice and fast for fast players who are really amazing at this game. By the way, you can control the game with the keyboard with the keys, the QWE keys. QWE, I don't even know what I'm pushing. Oh, it's because it's picking up the mouse too. QWE, ASD, ZXC, you can press to control. This game might still be too hard. In fact, it might run faster than it used to, because it runs at the proper speed. But it seems good. It seems good. So guys, play this game and tell me. You can message me on Chess, or you can message me in the chat right now, or you can post in the YouTube comments of this video and tell me if you think this game is a good difficulty or not. I have a feeling it's still way too hard, but I can't detect that because I'm way too good. And I see that there's still a shadow here, actually. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that knight definitely has a shadow, so that didn't work. It's because I didn't save this code, this file, which removes the shadow. Ah! Placebo effect, so powerful. So now the shadow is gone. You see that? So now I was saying to myself, oh, it runs so smoothly now that I've turned off the shadow, and I didn't turn off the shadow. So now the shadow's gone, which it looks a little less cool, but it's worth it for it to run way faster on everybody's normal computers. So cool game. Great. So now let's do the next thing. Tweak game difficulty is done for now. We might tweak game difficulty again later. But for now, it's done. Tweak game difficulty. Remove piece drop shadows for because they bog down the engine. Done. Okay, what else do we have to do? It's going to be a short episode. We have a get ready state and a play again option. So let's work on the get ready state. So when the game loads, right now, bam, it started already, just like that in no time. And that's something we want to say first is get ready, and then get set, and then get set some more, and then start. We don't need these tabs. So let's see how we can do that. Let's see what we can do. New task. I think I need... my HTML page, which kind of fires everything up. This thing binds all the keys, and it actually starts, it's called start. equals start, and it sets the state to running. So I want another game state. Those are in, where are the game states? Search the whole solution for game state. They're here. Currently we have ready, running, and game over. We're gonna call it get ready because it's gonna transition over time to running. You're not gonna do anything except wait and get ready. So I don't think I want to set it here. I'm probably gonna redo this again. Let's remove, by the way, I have a div in here that stores the score. It's called debug div. Let's search the whole solution for debug. Oh, there's a bunch of debug in my jQuery stuff. There's my div. There's a function that writes in it. It's called log. So let's search the solution for the word log. And look at that. It's all over Bootstrap. But here, this is the line I want to remove. This draws the player score on that in that little div, which is why you see, if you can see behind the board, then you can see that there's a score back here, and I'm just going to remove that. Load already. Bam. See that? 100? I don't want that there. So I'm going to remove it. Okay, so that's done. I guess I should check that in. Debug. Score log. And we're going to exclude this file because we didn't, that's not part of our change. That's part of the next change, so now let's include it again. So I just checked in everything but that file. What wonderful source control. I don't even need to type anything in my command line. Yes, it's better than GitHub. So we're going to start with world.state equals get ready, and then we're going to call start. And clockManager.start is going to I think I'll have a function in world that says get ready. And what's it going to do? It's going to draw get ready on the screen. I have a text manager.add message right here. I did this in episode 3. Get ready. And it's going to put it right in the middle. And it's going to use that color that's nice. And it's going to be a good size. And it's going to last for 30 units. So let's try triggering that and just see how it looks. See if this works. Get ready, it's going to say. Loading. My computer's really slow. Get ready. You see that? Get ready. So I'm going to make that last 4 times longer. 120 units. Now I'm going to set timeout. Now, set timeout I haven't used in a while, so let's look it up. Window.setTimeout. Does that mean I don't have to say window dot? I can just call set timeout? I think so. Set timeout means do something later. And here's what it's going to do. You just make a new function and it does that thing. And then you also pass in function. That's my problem. Function is what it should say. And then you say, well, I'm going to wait 300. Now I should set that in the globals. Get ready milliseconds equals 300 of them, which actually 240 is plenty, so I don't know why I would have 300. That's just such a big number. And now it's going to, in get ready milliseconds, it's going to run this function. And the function is going to actually say go. And this is going to show up on the screen for a very short time, just 20, I think that's milliseconds. So let's try that. It's going to say get ready. And then 240 milliseconds later, no, 240 frames later, it's going to say go. Waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to say go. Say go. It's not saying go. Let's find out why. Is set time? Oh, game over. That's not go. Let's go find. Put some breakpoints in there. I hit the first one. Bob Fishbite says, it's hard to see the chat. I have to come way over here. Hey, what do you think about the Oracle versus Google case? I'm not actually abreast of that case, but they're both big companies. So that worked. And 240 frames later, it will run this. Oh, 240 milliseconds later, which is not 240 frames. So I think it just needs to be way more milliseconds. "60 frames per second, so that's that's 240 seconds though, which is probably too much also. This is 5 seconds. Something's not right with my math. See how it says go at the same time as get ready? So that's not good enough. Let's try 60 times 60, which makes no sense. Why are you multiplying 60 by 60? I don't know, but go. Do you see that? It said go. Get ready. Go. Okay, so get ready is on the screen too long. This is really ugly, by the way, but I'll fix it later. And that can be 30. And I'll make this red. Oh, we won't. We can just leave it this color. I'm going to tweak all this stuff later, right? It just needs to have a get ready state and then a go state. So as it's saying go, it starts out in get ready state, which means you can't move, right? So you're not going to be able to move here. Oracle is suing Google for using their API, just so you know. APIs, I think. Okay, so it's never goes. You can never move, which is perfect. So when you say go, then you're going to self this dot state. Does that make sense? I mean, this is so easy. The hard part is making it look nice because get ready, can't move, can't move, can't move, go. And I still can't move. I should be able to move because I put state to game state running. What am I doing wrong? Put a breakpoint in there because this one should work. Get ready. Bam. This dot state is undefined. See, this is the kind of screwy stuff JavaScript gives to you all the time. This is window. You see the problem, guys? JavaScript blowing your mind with contexts again. So it says, oh, my scope is currently the window and not the world because, why? Because when you say set timeout, this is window.setTimeout. So when you're inside this function, it doesn't realize it's part of the world. It thinks it's part of the window. So it's setting the Windows state instead of the world's state. So one of the ways to get around this is to put get ready inside here. And another way is to set it to self inside, but we're just going to say, we're just going to do it this way. Self.loop equals this, and self.getReady. So I already have a variable called self. So the way this works is it says, as soon as I'm running my constructor, I set self to this. So the world is self. So now I have a reference to the world. So instead of saying this.state, I can say self.state. And I am referencing the world instead of the window. Anywhere else I need to do that? Self.getReady equals function. Made it just like this one, loop equals function. So that should work now. So JavaScript contexts are a beast of a pain. They're a pain of a beast. They're both a pain and a beast. Mostly a beast, kind of a pain also. Okay, see how I can't move, can't move, can't move, can't move, can't move, go! And it went really weird. Can't move, can't move, can't move, can't move, go! So it's queuing up the moves, which is really awesome. Like, watch this. I want to go here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here. Ah, it didn't work. Let's try again. Okay, I want to go here, and then 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 here. Go! So it queues up 2 moves. But we're not going to allow it to queue anything. The way we're going to do that is to say players, the first player, dot. There's something inside the player that keeps track of its move queue. Oh, it's not in there. It's in the piece. Next moves. It's the queue of the next moves. And of course, I shouldn't be reaching in here. This should be a private variable, but I'm a hacker, so I can. And that says, I'm removing your entire queue. In other words, you're not allowed to remember anything. So now when I do this, it's like, oh, I did remember. How did it do that? Because I said that your next moves are nothing. So how did you know to move that way when I said this way? I don't know. Let's try it with the keyboard. I'm going to press Q, which means that direction, and then I'm going to press D, which means that direction. And it doesn't move at all. Let's try it again. Q and then D. See what it does. See what it does? It remembers that stuff. That's not okay. How did you remember that? Because I know I set your next moves to nothing. Here we go. See this? Over here, how convenient. When you press these keys, it calls world.move in that direction. And when you move your mouse, it calls mouse.move. And mouse.move, conveniently enough, calls world.move. So all the moves go through there. So I'm going to remove my hack. I'm really happy to do this. I don't need to erase that array which is being written to. All I need to do is say, when you're trying to move, if this dot state is equal to game state dot running, then you're allowed to move. Otherwise, you can't move. You can't move in game over. You can't move in get ready. So why do you think you could? So now it's not going to work. And by that, I mean it's going to work. See that? Go, and it doesn't move. Now let's try it with, try going here, try going all these spots, and it's going to actually go up here. Bam, it goes up there. So that's fixed. Okay, so now I have a get ready state. It's not that pretty at all. Whoa, did you see what happens? It becomes a bishop immediately. Yeah, this isn't fixed yet because when I call start, I need a different function called init, because start is being called when the page loads, and start actually needs to be called when the game starts, which is after the go symbol has appeared. However, those are different. The click manager. I need an init function, which does half of this stuff. Or maybe I need a reset function. Hello, Beats by Death. Who needs chess if you can have cheeseburgers? Wouldn't chess with cheeseburgers be even better? I knew I would have to redo this. I don't even want to work on this right now. So you don't have to watch me. Instead, I'm going to say it's a bug. To do. Fix bug where game starts, game clock starts before game state running. Okay, so there's a bug where the game clock starts immediately instead of running. It starts during get ready. And the way to fix that is to say, oh, there really is a bug. Guess I'll fix that later. And that'll totally work. See, watch. Oh, get ready. Oh, go. Yeah, it becomes a bishop. But who cares? You can capture that bishop before it does anything mean. So I'll just fix that bug another time. Great. Add get ready state is done. Love it. And that's in the to-do, not to do this episode, so I don't have to do it. So now let's work on play again. This is the last thing we'll do this episode probably. So play again is you lose the game and you can't do anything. You have to click refresh to do anything. And that's kind of dull. So let's, first of all, let's make losing happen really fast. 60 times 60 is 3,600. Let's do that because otherwise it's nonsensical. Let's say that you lose super fast. In fact, you're going to lose as soon as the game starts, aren't you? Yeah. Because you lost during the get ready phase thanks to that bug. So, ouch. I guess I'll say 30. So what I want to do when you lose is to say click or press space. Right, to play again. That's reasonable. Or tap. Click, tap, or space. I mean, who would write that message? Let's just make it so that if you do click or tap or press space, you play again. And we don't have to tell them, because the whole messaging thing is really not meant for all this stuff that I'm using it for. So keyboard manager bind keys.key space. Does that exist? Space. Let's find out. Go to my keyboard manager. Do you have key space over here? Enter, escape, left, right, up, down, delete, backspace. It doesn't know what space is. So I'm going to alert a number every time I press a key. Come on, load. Do you even interact with us potatoes? 65, that's A. So space is 8. See that? I'm pressing space. Oh no, I'm pressing backspace, which is why I've gone away. Space is closing the browser tab at the same time it's opening. It's 32. So we're going to say, oh, it's 32, of course. So we'll put that up here. That is how you can get the number, which is the space bar. Now you've seen it happen, so you can do it yourself at home. Oh, I wonder how you get the number. You can do this when you have your friends over. You're like, hey guys, guess how you get the number, which is the space bar. You simply do what ChessWhiz did. There's a new function. When you press space, it's going to call space pressed. And when you click, is there on click? Because I could just do click like this with jQuery. I don't care if there is. I'll just do it this way. So now when you click, it's going to call clicked. It's going to call click. And when you press space, it's going to say that you press space. Now let's add those functions. Self.space. Press. Oh, space was pressed. What'll I do? I'll say if self.state is equal to game over. Then I will restart. Now, how do you restart? I actually built this so you could restart easily. You call reset, and then you call get ready. So let's see if that works. Self.reset, self.get ready. Reset could call get ready, by the way, which it should. Let's make it not do that for now. Maybe it should. Yeah, it should. Let's do that. Then we can take these calls out and we can go to reset. And we can say So we just simply call reset. And does that set the game state back? No, but get ready can do that. So where's get ready? See this? This can be done in get ready. Where all the game state equals get ready. That's what get ready does. It sets it to get ready. Great. So if you press space and game state is game over, then it starts it over with reset, which does all that stuff automatically. So let's refresh so that we, it's broken and it's still alerting me things, which I don't want. Stop alerting me things. Let's try again. Stop telling me I pressed escape. Would you like to join my potato army? Ask Candy Tree 95. It's difficult. I'm not even sure if I want to or not. Tell me more about your potato army and then I'll decide. World is not defined. I don't believe you. Oh. My computer's really slow, by the way. This is choppy and stuff. It should be self.state. Okay, let's try it now. Get ready. Go. Game over. You're dead. So now let's press space. You ready? Space. Get ready. Go. Game over. Space. Get ready. This is so fun. Go. Game over. Press space. Get ready. Okay, it's working. I'm going to stop doing that now because as fun as it is, I am finished. So now we know the other function. The other function is going to be whoa, fells. Because this is for mouse clicks, right? What if you're playing with the mouse? Self.click is the click event, but I think I'll ignore it. I'll just say whenever you click, do the same thing. Now that's kind of bad coding, but I anticipate all of this will change once I get menus and all that stuff, so this is okay for now. This isn't how you write it though. It should be like this. It should be like this. Funkaton. Save that. Now it'll work with mouse. Oh, game over. Click. Get ready. It worked. Okay. Except it didn't reset everything. Because look, the knight. It didn't reset the knight's position. So that's bad. Let's go check that reset function. It's not doing a good job. Enemies there's no enemies. Level is 1. Captures until level up is reset. Reset all the players. So that should reset. Oh, it reset your score to 0. It also should reset your piece. Does piece have a reset? Piece should not have a reset. Kind of. Player should inherit from piece. Really. As opposed to just having a piece. I guess I'll give it a reset. It can't reset because it doesn't know what location to reset to. I guess it can do this. I guess it can reset a few things. It can reset its source in XY. It can reset its paint in XY. It can say that it has no moves remaining and it is not queuing up any moves. And it doesn't need to reset these two things. The type and color stay the same, and it can't reset its position because it doesn't know where to. So now we need to think about how to reset the player's position because otherwise it will be in a new spot when you restart. So how do we set the position? I mean, we cheated earlier on. Let's say get rid of milliseconds is slow so that we can see this in action. Okay, it's going to reset some things now. It's broken. Pause X is not defined. That's because it should be this dot pause X. The constructor doesn't have to reference that stuff. Get ready, go. Game over. Click. Get ready, go. So the piece stayed there. Do you see that? The player did not move. And look at that. I made the game really difficult again. So the player stayed there. But let's see what happens if you lose while you're moving. Oh, it's so hard. I'm going to try to lose while I'm moving. There we go. So you can see it does reset like its progress while moving. But what it doesn't reset is its location. So I guess for now, I'll just set its location in the world reset. Because each player could go to its own location. And look at what I've done. I've created the player, and I just randomly dropped it at 2, 3. Because I love magic numbers. But we're going to disallow that. Let's undo these. Some of this stuff. It's going to start, I guess it should start where a knight starts, which is 1 in from the left, and at the bottom of the board, which is 7, because it's 0 index. Now I can actually say that this should start in its proper place. Don't like the feel of this. I don't like how I'm writing it twice. But when we have server side for this game, so the players can play each other, then the server will tell the client where you're starting. So it's actually going to just receive that information. Then we'll refactor it away. My ugly code will be gone. Players is not defined. Oh no, I forgot this dot. This could be the very last code change I do today. It might just work perfectly. Too bad I can't move anywhere, huh? That's really too bad. I wonder why not. Do you wonder why my knight can't move? Oh, it's because the game hasn't started yet. Oh, it's because it's during the get ready state. So its position is not being reset. Source X, source Y. Why isn't its position being reset? I bet it's some dumb mistake I'm making. Come on, finish this up so we can play. I want to play Uprising. Where is reset? Is that odd or what? It is reset again. So here's my new strategy. I'm not going to push the piece there. I'm going to say that there are no players until reset is called. And when reset is called, then I'll make a new piece. And I don't need to call reset on it. Just delete the old one and create a new one. Now I don't need a reset in piece because it's really weird to reset a piece. Pieces can't really be reset. They're created at some random time. They can't go back to where they were. So let's just take out that reset. And players can be reset because your score gets reset. So that part is okay. That part is okay. Now we're going to erase all players and create a new player that starts where it belongs. And then we will still loop through here. So I just did undo and redo. Because we do want to loop through the players. Call reset. No, we don't. We just created a new player. So So player doesn't need a reset function either. Which means players are pretty much nothing. They have a score and that's it for now. Okay, this should work. Good idea, 3, 2, 1 count. Great idea, chat person who said that. Reset's not a function. Such a dumb programmer. I'm a smart programmer. I did take that off. Get ready. Go. You lose. Get ready. Get ready, go needs to be really fast because I'm tired of this. Get ready, go. Click. Okay, now it resets properly. Click. Okay, now it resets properly. Click. Okay, okay. Great feedback from chat. Candy Tree says, no, it's Ruffulino says it should go 3, 2, 1 count. And Potato Army sounds bad. I don't want to join that. Never talk about the Potato Club is one of the rules, and I want to talk about the Potato Club, so I'm not going to agree to that. Great idea about the 3, 2, 1 count. Let's do that. Let's just hack that together really fast. It's going to be super easy. Where's my get ready? It was 3,600. So divide that by 4, and you get 900. Let's make this back to 180, as I thought it should be. Set timeout. It's going to say 3 in get ready milliseconds. And after it says 3, it's going to set timeout again. And it's going to say 2 in get ready milliseconds. And after it says 2, it's going to set timeout again. And it's going to say 1 in get ready milliseconds. And after it says 1, it's going to set timeout again. And it's going to say go. And it's going to set the game state to game state. Run it. Cool idea. So now this doesn't need to be so long on the screen. Great idea. Great idea. Look at that. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's try it again. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Great idea, Ruffulino. I implemented that so fast. Look at all this ugly code I did. And it was just bam, 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 bam. And so this one's going to be 60. And this one's going to be 45. And that's just everything. That's just everything there is to it, just for fun. So when this is server state synchronizing the time on the server, it'll say get ready while it synchronizes. And then once the server says, OK, you're good, then it'll go 3, 2, 1. So this is a great idea to have the 3, 2, 1. Now, it doesn't look that beautiful yet because this isn't that beautiful. But it's so much better than it was. OK. So I think everything is in order now. Everything is working. It says get ready, 3, 2, 1, go. And then you go. So there is this bug, but I don't want to fix that right now. The bug where it starts out as a bishop as soon as go starts. So I'll fix that later. So now I'm going to play the game once and see what kind of high score I can get. And then you guys who are watching on Twitch will be able to play right after this. And you who are watching on YouTube can also play by browsing to chesswiz.tv/ or just chesswiz.tv. You have to put the H in Wiz. Okay, so ready? Let's see what kind of high score ChessWhiz can get. 3, 2, 1, go. Yum, yum, yum. Capture 3 things before level 2. Good. Oh, I got lucky. These are all in a row. Oh, I'm so lucky. It's not fair. ChessWhiz, everything is capturable in like a combo thing. So it's pretty lucky for me. Okay, I'm better with the keyboard. I'm actually not. You can play this with the keyboard and it is so confusing. No, don't become a queen. No. This game's harder than when we started because my computer is not allowing it to lag and get easier with cheat modes. Queen, get that queen. No. Whew, that was close. Oh, this runs fast. This is hard. This is nice and hard. I love this game. This game's pretty fun. Okay, so capture those. Capture those. And those. Great. Very smooth. Get that queen. That queen. That queen. That queen. That queen. That queen. No, I'm going to lose. Ah, I was 2 moves away from that. 7,540 on the first try, although I have played a game similar to this before. So that was episode 4, and that's going to be it. But let me at least publish this thing for you guys. Let's check that in. It's not very hard to do these last steps. Added, get ready. I think that's what I did. Let's see what I did. Added, play again. And play again. Tweak. Get ready, sequence. Sequence. Add and play again. So you can now click the mouse or press space to play again. Unfortunately, that's not told to the user, but since you're watching, you know that. And also, it'll be pretty intuitive to just click. Although you can refresh the browser if you don't know, you can do that. So it's not any worse than it was. So this is a major breakthrough because it's like the game is actually kind of standard now. It's playable and you can compete for high scores and all that kind of stuff. The next thing, obviously, is to make it multiplayer. It'd be so fun if I can compete against you and crush you. Unfortunately, that's not entirely possible. It's going to be very difficult to make that happen because we're going to have to totally refactor the game so that instead of running in JavaScript in the browser just for you, it runs on the server side and keeps the game state in a database so that when you make a move, it sends a message up to the server and I say, oh, that's a legal move. You haven't lost yet. And it saves that in the database and says, okay, the new bad guy is here. And then your browser says, oh, there's a new bad guy there. And it puts it on the screen. Then you got to deal with latency because the message might take a while. You got delays. You got to deal with game state tracking management because your client side might not be synced up properly with the server. Bad things can happen. So it's very difficult to do. And I actually have never done client server, authoritative server architecture before. So it'll be a big learning experience for me. But the rewards are huge because then we can play multiplayer against other people over the internet, which is something I want to do. As a programmer, I want to be able to make games that you can play with others over the internet. This game's really small and simple. All you do is move one chess piece around a board, so it's a great practice project for me to learn this server client architecture. So I'm excited to do that, and it'll be in the future. So now this has published out, so let's go to chesswiz.tv. And you can browse here as well. I'll put it in the chat for you. The Twitch chat is here. My link says Twitch chat. And I'll just, oh, here comes the Twitch chat. And you click arcade, and you can click play now. And my to-do list is done. So to-do next episode done, in progress done, everything's done. So the next thing we're going to do, hopefully, is game engine in C#, which is the server-side language. So that's going to be a big, big project. There is the website where you can play it yourself. See if you can score 4,700, whatever I just scored. You just click arcade, play now, and you are playing. So that was fun. Just a few small features that we added today, but it kind of polished off the game and allowed it to be standardized. So now we're ready to move on to the server architecture. So hope you guys learned something from the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback on ChessWhiz Arcade, please mention it in the chat or in the YouTube comments because I really want to produce something that you would enjoy. If I'm just making things for myself, it's kind of a waste of time because the world's a lot bigger than me last time I checked. This has been ChessWhiz Arcade. Thanks for watching.